Look, man, let's cut right to the chase. Carnality and consumerism are designed to keep you stuck within the cycle of samsara. Yes, sir, let me say that again. Carnality and consumerism work hand in hand and are designed to keep you stuck within the cycle of samsara. So without further ado, let's break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Now you might be wondering, what the fuck does that even mean, bro? What are you talking about? What is samsara, and how does carnality and consumerism keep me stuck within that cycle? Well, if you know about the overall concepts of the Eastern mystics that talk about samsara, you understand that this is the cycle of reincarnation. The cycle that keeps you stuck within the lower vibrational state of this physical plane. What keeps you stuck, what keeps your soul stuck within a physical body. What keeps your karmic debts holding you down like some dead weight from actually ascending to the spiritual planes of existence. And if this is sounding schizophrenic to you, it should. But if you really want to dive into the details of it, pause this video right now, go on the main channel Fulati Fitness and find the samsara video that I already have broken down within there. It's probably called Escaping Samsara, the Cycle of Reincarnation. That's the title of it. Just search that on YouTube. You'll be able to find it, and you'll be able to go in depth and in detail of the whole concept. So I'm not going to break it down too much in depth within this video, because I want to talk about how carnality and consumerism are the main generating forces to keep you stuck within this cycle. So on a base level, the cycle of reincarnation is almost like a game that the universe plays on each and every individual soul. As each individual soul, Atman, or whatever you want to call it, is brought here for a quote-unquote dharmic duty, spiritual purpose. Not only is it to ascend their own spiritual evolution, but it's also to help accelerate and uplift the consciousness of humanity in some way, shape, or form. It could be through becoming a YouTuber. It could be through becoming a doctor. It could be becoming an author, a musician. Some way, shape, or form, you were brought here to create that sort of vision, that inner vision, to help ascend yourself and release those karmic debts, but also to help others ascend along the way, be a beacon of light within this dark world. But consumerism and carnality are societal kind of blueprints or protocols and systems designed to keep you stuck within there. Why? Because if you stay stuck within that thing, all you are is a cog within the machine of the Matrix. This is what the real Matrix is. The movie The Matrix is a very spiritual kind of movie if you really kind of realize what's going on in depth under the scene, behind the scenes. But when you actually plug it in with the ancient wisdom of the past, man, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. When a man is stuck within his animalistic nature, he doesn't care about ascending towards the higher levels of spiritual evolution. They use your animalistic base instincts against you through consumerism and through carnality. You have an animalistic instinct to want to eat. What do they give you? Junk food that makes you stupid, makes you literally retarded. It inflames your brain, so you can't think about these types of things. Someone who has an inflamed brain from all that junk food watches this video, they're not even going to be able to watch through a couple seconds of this because there's no edits, there's no stimulation going on. They dumb down your attention span. They deplete your life force energy through what? Things like porn, through things like a hookup culture, which is almost, this life force energy acts almost as the ignition, the spark to tap into your spiritual senses, as we talked about before on this channel. Semen retention awakens your spiritual senses. This is what allows you to get these universal downloads, these intuitions, these synchronicities going on in your life, to the point where you can understand how to navigate this plane correctly to actually achieve that dharmic duty, release your karmic debts, and ascend to the next plane of evolution, next stage of existence. this physical plane is just kind of like the middle ground. This is not the end all be all, man. This is temporary. This is an illusion. This is almost like a dream, a very dense dream. As the Eastern mystics call it, the Maya. And in the more modern terms, the Matrix. Not the Matrix that you hear these alpha pill guys talk about. Oh man, you need to get all this money, blah, blah, blah. That's great. It could be a key to unlock yourself out of the Matrix. But if that's the end goal, you're just plugging yourself into another Matrix that I've talked about. But the main thing, again, that drives this whole wheel, that drives this whole cycle, that keeps it spinning, is carnality and consumerism. And they go hand in hand. Carnality is the concept of living in those lower states, living in your animalistic state of mind. And when they add in different outlets, the consumer side of things, that's so widely accessible, some of the things are even free, some of the things are so cheap that you don't even care about it, then it's natural for you to unconsciously choose those things that's going to lower your state of consciousness to the point where you can't realize what's really going on in the entire scope of the world. This is some deep stuff that not a lot of people will actually have click in their mind. But if you're picking up what the fuck I'm putting down, man, you're realizing that, man, take all the samsara stuff out of the equation. This is what's going on in the world. I don't care what your faith is. I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care what your religion is. This is the cold, hard facts. Carnality and consumerism. They're playing ping pong with each other. They're bouncing off, boom, boom, boom. And guess what's the ping pong ball? Your state of consciousness. You're just getting bounced back and forth. Oh man, I'm horny, I'm gonna go watch porn. Carnality, consumerism. Oh man, I'm hungry, I'm gonna order junk food. Oh man, I'm bored, I'm gonna go scroll on TikTok. Lowering your attention span, lowering your spiritual vitality and vigor from watching porn, and lowering your physical vitality and vigor from eating the junk food. Guess what? When you're in that state, it's easy to control and manipulate you and make you fall into whatever agenda they have in mind. And that agenda is to keep you stuck, keep the soul stuck within the system, and keep cranking out this machine, keep cranking out the matrix, keep cranking out all these type of societal programming that's going to get the other next souls that are going to come in line who reincarnate stuck within it again. This is why spiritual knowledge is the most important type of knowledge that you can ever accumulate, because it's knowledge of the self. And knowledge of the self, if you can kind of correlate that to the concepts of the ancient Hermetics, as above, so below. If you understand the self, you understand the cosmic kind of systems of the universe. You understand the underlying details of what makes this thing what makes this thing run. What's the end goal of it? What am I really brought here to do? You start questioning about that stuff. You become a free thinker. A lot of people are not free thinkers. If you ever watched read the book 1984, is it 1984 or 1941? 1984. Pretty sure it's 1984. That whole book talks about a dystopian kind of world where people have their thoughts even policed, governed. They can't think outside the box. All the history books are rewritten to make them program into something. All their kind of health organization things are rewritten and programmed into a certain agenda. This is what the fuck's going on right now. And why is it happening? You might be wondering, oh man, it's coincidence. Oh man, they don't want us to do this, they don't want to do that. They want you stuck within your animalistic state of mind. They don't want you to become the next stage of your evolution. Realizing that you're not just an animal. Realizing that life isn't just about pleasures. Realizing that you're brought here for a bigger purpose. Not only for yourself, but for the consciousness of humanity to ascend. Yet the main things that are holding you back is your karmic debts that we'll talk about later on down the line, but also carnality and consumerism. These are acting as anchors almost, a weighted vest almost. And you're swimming in the ocean of samsara, and it's just pulling you further and further down, drowning you within consumerism, carnality, within the matrix, within the Maya, within the illusion. No matter how hard you keep trying to swim, that's just going to keep pulling you down. The only thing that can cut that weighted vest off or cut that anchor off is knowledge of the self. At the, if you want to take it back to kind of Greek times, the Oracle of Delphi, this was essentially seen as the if you go there, the universe or whatever kind of deity they were kind of praying to or worshiping would give you answers into the future. Yet on the top of the kind of temple that you go into where this was there, it says, know thyself and thou shalt know the universe and its gods. Know thyself and thou shalt know the universe and its gods. If you realize the self, you understand the concept of self, you understand what's holding back your true self, you're going to realize the actual mystic path of God. And when I say mystic path of God, this means your higher self, your highest purpose. God means that, or God is essentially your GPS, your navigation system to get you to that point. Why do you think they try to disconnect that? When you realize these things, then you start to go against the grain of what they want you to do. And if you're that one kind of beacon of light, we've talked about this before, you're in a dark room, you light up a match. That match is still gonna illuminate the room. Yet if there's a bunch of candles in the room that are unlit, that one match can spark this one, which can spark that one, which can spark that one. You essentially light up someone else's candle, light up someone else's lantern, light up someone else's flame, divine flame, to realize and illuminate the dark room, the dark world that we're in. The dark ages, not evil, just dark for the time being. Carnality is high, spirituality is low. Kali Yuga that we talked about so much on this channel. When you do that, you're essentially shifting the momentum towards your favor, because this is how the pendulum swings. It goes up this way to extreme and it's going to swing back this way. We're in a state where it's going to slowly but surely start swinging back. And I'm talking directly to you bitch ass motherfucker. Relax, I'm not trying to be mean to you, but I'm talking to you. I'm talking to all you people out there who are into this type of content, who are into this brand, the message I bring out, man, whether that's on this channel, whether that's on the main channel, whether you're in the private Patreon community. Shout out to the fucking private Patreon community. If you haven't joined up yet, man, if you're into these types of topics, bro, you are truly missing out. Because within there, you get access to exclusive content, breaking down ancient texts. We're getting to full, in-depth occult lectures. I'm talking about a 2-hour lecture about the cycle of samsara. So if you're interested in this, you're going to love that. And along with that, we got full guides. We got 2 monthly masterminds where we hop on calls with myself and the community of the inner circle within the private Patreon community and chop it up about all these deeper types of topics. When you're on this path, and I've talked about this before on this channel, when you're on the spiritual path, you might feel quote unquote alone, even though you got your higher self, God, always with you. You can watch these videos, you can be immersed in these types of books, but being surrounded in a community of like-minded men who are also on this path of self-mastery, who understand carnality and consumerism are designed to keep them stuck within the cycle of samsara, and they're looking to ascend above that, transcend to their next level, you start realizing and confirming, hey man, you are on the right path. It's a synchronicity that you cannot replicate. You can see the angel numbers, you can see all these different synchronicities in your life, but having a real community to keep you accountable, to confirm things, to share things, to talk to these things about, it's priceless, man. It's priceless. So if you want to join up and become a part of the inner circle, there's about 4 to 5 spots still left. Go check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video. There's a private group chat. You get access to all the things that we just talked about before. But yeah, man, check out the links posted in the pinned comment of this video, because within the pinned comment of this video, you'll also be able to find other services that I promote, which is, of course, application forms for one-on-one coaching. There's booking one-on-one one-time consultation calls, free community Discord server, free weekly newsletter. All that good stuff is posted in the pinned comment of this video. But what I was saying is, for all you guys out there that I work with one-on-one, that we do these one-on-one consultation calls, that you're in the private Patreon community, watching the second channel, watching the main channel, in the Discord server, whatever it is, you guys are more, I wouldn't say you're not a chosen one. You already know me. I don't believe in that bullshit of some people are chosen, some people are not. You are further advanced and further matured on the spiritual aspect of reality. A lot of people only think maturity is about the mind and the body. You hit puberty, you become more mature. You become older, you become more mentally mature. What about your spiritual maturity? This is realizing more knowledge of the self. Think about it like the more knowledge of the self you gain through these spiritual practices, through this spiritual understanding, the more mature you become on the spiritual realm of reality, which means you become more mature of understanding the deeper nature of our universe, because you understand the deeper nature aspects of yourself. Again, the Oracle of Delphi, know thyself and thou shalt know the universe and its gods. The more you understand that, the more you kind of start breaking down the chains, the shackles, the anchors, the weights of carnality, of consumerism that are using your biological animalistic instincts against you. You start raising above the animal state of mind. And you start transcending to the spiritual faculties of man, the higher faculties of man. That's what allows you to see beyond the matrix, the illusion. And I'll give you a quick little story about this, but it kind of goes analogy with that. When I first was getting into psychedelics, especially LSD, I remember I was on like a big viewpoint, which is like right in front of me that I'm looking at right now, which is crazy synchronicity. Like literally, if I turn the camera, this is exactly where I was, like straight in front of me. So there's no coincidence. But that viewpoint shows like the kind of the outlook of where I live. I don't live like in a big city, but it's still a city. And when I was on acid, man, I was looking at it, I was like, man, I can see the grid of the matrix. And you might be saying like, man, no, you were just frying out, you're schizophrenic. That was not it. But when you are on these altered states of consciousness through these substances, I'm not saying you have to take these substances to do it. As I've talked about so much on this channel, they act as steroids to get to these higher states of spiritual awareness. It activates your spiritual senses without doing the quote-unquote work to do it. That's why they're basically like steroids. Steroids, when you take them to go to the gym, yes, you still got to go to the gym and work out, but you recover quicker, you build up muscle better, you're just overall, you're more of a responder to the stimulus of hypertrophy. Same thing goes with psychedelics, but on the spiritual realm. You become more respondent to the spiritual senses that are always around you. They're always going on. If you pause this video, you look around, they're going, all this stuff is happening. But again, the physical senses, the 5 physical senses, can't actually compute that stuff. Can't actually take all that stuff and make sense of it. That's why you need the quote-unquote spiritual senses on your side. Psychedelics allow you to turn them on instantly. Some people might crash out, burn out because it's too much for them, too much sauce to handle. But some people start using it and start saying, oh man, this is what kind of these sages and stuff we're talking about. But they did it naturally. They got to those points through all the spiritual practices that we talked about. This channel, the main channel, the people I work one-on-one with, private Patreon community, all that stuff. They use these as tools to activate the higher centers of man. This physical body, this physical vessel is a means to realize God. It's not just here to kind of just indulge in lower level things. I'm not telling you to not get jacked, not get rich, this and that. But at the end of the day, those again are tools. Your physical vitality, your wealth and all that stuff is a means to realize something higher, something bigger, something permanent. Not this temporary illusion. So when I was quote unquote tripping balls up here, I started seeing that and I realized that, man, if you take like a computer chip, like a hard drive, and you take off like the kind of like the metal casing around it, and it looks like all these circuits going, so like a circuit board going around, and like there's different patterns. That's what the earth looks like. That's what cities look like. You're in a big ass fucking computer chip. And when you realize these things, it's not bad, it's not evil, it's just how do you get yourself quote unquote out of that? How do you get yourself back into true nature, your true nature and the true nature, out in the field, out in the flesh? You know how we do it out here. that is what's going to kind of kickstart this whole process of understanding that, man, I got blessed with this incarnation for the time being, especially if you're, again, someone that's watching this type of content and picking up what the fuck I'm putting down. You got blessed with this, I'm not saying because of me, I'm blessed that I got to be able to understand this knowledge, and I'm willing enough to kind of break it down to the point and share it to the people that also need to hear. Maybe you can't read these books and it makes sense to you. It makes sense to me when I read these books. I just break it down, like we always say, like a brick for y'all. Make things practical for the modern man to understand what the fuck's going on. You don't have to go straight to the mountaintop, go to the source and think about, how do I conceptualize this into in modern times? I love doing that. So hopefully this channel is helping you along that journey. But the more you understand that, the more it starts clicking to you, the more you're gonna realize that, man, if I continue to stay stuck within these lower states of consciousness, I'm never going to truly experience my fullest potential on all planes of reality. Society doesn't want you to tap into your fullest potential. They want to keep this machine moving. They want to keep the matrix running. They want to keep this whole movie illusion still playing on the screen. Another great analogy, allegory of the cave. You are living in a state where you're in the cave and people are projecting kind of figures out behind you through a fire, and they're playing little shadows. If you know about this story, you know about it. Essentially, the story is about prisoners that were stuck in a cave. They're facing a wall. Behind them is a fire. The fire illuminates the wall that they're looking at, almost like a projector, like a movie screen. And then the people behind them are doing these different types of things. So the shadow makes it look like there's like animals behind them. There's this behind them. There's that behind them. And they think that's reality. They think this is all there is. Those shadows, if you want to call it that, are the programmings of society telling you this is what pleasure is. It means sexually indulging in yourself so much to the point where you deplete your life force energy. This is what pleasure is. Eating this junk food to the point where you get this dopamine rush, but you feel like absolute shit. You cannot think. Your brain is literally inflamed. You become retarded. This is what pleasure is. Focusing on external things, external kind of temporary illusions. Money, cars, clothes. This is what pleasure is. That's what it's showing you. And that's all you see. Because you're trained to look externally. Us, especially in the West, aren't given any type of true spiritual foundation that these Eastern mystics talk about, to look internally for true joy, true pleasure, true happiness, true wisdom. We don't have that. We're told and we're programmed to look externally. So guess what? When we get older, this becomes ingrained into your mind. And you continue to look externally. You continue to chase after this and that. And guess what? That's playing into carnality. And guess what? Carnality plays into consumerism. Are you understanding what I'm trying to kind of relay to you guys? I'm breaking out all these analogies, so hopefully one of them will click for you. And in that story, when these guys were finally, quote unquote, broken out of their chains and they got up to the outside of the cave, the sun, the true illuminating radiance of truth, if you want to call it that. The sun is symbolic of truth. Was so much for them to handle. So much for them to kind of look at that they became almost blind. They were blinded by the truth. This is the quote-unquote analogy of the dark night of the soul. When you start to realize that everything that you've been kind of programmed to believe in is a lie. Society has been psychologically enslaving you, like I've talked about before on this channel. It's a hard pill to swallow. That's why in the movie The Matrix, they say, hey bro, do you want this motherfucking pill, the red pill? Or do you want the blue pill? You take this, ignorance is bliss, and you forget everything. But once you take the red pill, there ain't no going back. This will give you true power, true knowledge. But it's going to be difficult. Anything worth having is difficult. Ignorance, easy to get. You want to fit in with the crowd, the Matrix? the mediocre life that you hate? You want to go back to that? Or do you want to sacrifice that? Sacrifice your quote unquote pleasures for something greater. You have to be willing to give up the old persona, the old perception of self in order to attain the highest self. Let me say that again. You have to be willing to give up your old persona of the lower self in order for you to truly attain your highest self. And this is why all these practices of things like semen retention, spirituality, and all that stuff is going against the grain of everything else. The path of renouncing all these worldly type of distractions. I'm not telling you to detach from everything, go sit in the cave, meditate, blah, blah, blah. You can do that. That will accelerate even more. But if you're like me, you still have a, if you want to call it like a karmic debt yet you need to pay on the physical plane. Whether that's creating something for people to enjoy, creating something for people to help their lives, whether that's a brand, whether that's a YouTube channel, whether that's your career path, you have like a pull, an innate pull to do it. You can't just kind of renounce everything and go back up to the mountains, because if you do that, that karmic debt is still there. It doesn't matter how quote unquote spiritual you are, it doesn't matter how much you meditate. That karmic debt is there for a reason. You need to burn it off by actually accomplishing your dharmic duty. Karma and dharma go straight together, bro. So keeping that in mind, bro, like this is what you got to really be cognizant of as you go throughout life, as you go throughout this journey. Because I know if you watch this far into the video, if you're watching this channel, man, you're not here for just to be entertained by small little pleasures of the world. You're not here for that. You're here for something bigger, something better, something more fulfilling, and true spiritual ecstasy. And again, this might be sounding schizophrenic to you, but it should. That's why I talked about on this channel, when you have a spiritual awakening, you feel like you're going through psychosis because your perspective on the world has completely been shattered, broken to pieces. Now you got to take the pieces of the puzzle and build it back up together into its true form. It's like taking a picture, completely rewarping the picture, and they're saying, hey man, this is what the world is. And then you actually rip up that thing and then you realize, oh man, if I put this piece over to here and this here, makes more sense. That's why it makes like, it feels almost like an attack on your identity right now if you're trying to pick up these things and you feel like a little weird listening to it. It's because your old self, this programming that's not the true you, has been so ingrained within your psyche and acting as like a boa constrictor, an anaconda that's literally choking you, wrapping around you, choking the soul, if you want to call it that, allowing it not to move, not to breathe, not to express itself. But now true spiritual knowledge is like this strength to be able to pull off that boa constrictor, pull off that anaconda, and let the soul become free. Even though it's a hard pill to swallow. Some people would rather go back to that feeling of, that known feeling of being constricted because it's known. Because they're used to it. They've accompanied themselves to that pain. People run to pain more than they run to true, actual joy. They think pain is actually pleasure. They go for the relief of things. Oh, I'm hungry, I'm gonna relieve myself from my hunger by eating this junk food. You're gonna inflict more pain by doing that. Oh, I'm horny, I'm gonna run to relief by whacking it off, by going on Tinder, by going on these hookup culture things that are gonna just deplete me of my life force energy. You're putting more pain to yourself because guess what? You're not gonna feel that vigor, that vitality, that connection to your soul. That's why you feel ashamed almost when you do these types of things. I'm not saying they're bad, they're evil, they're just not productive towards a man who is truly on this path of self-mastery. For the people out there who are so depleted, they're so in zombie mode, they don't give a fuck. You're not one of them. I'm not saying you're better than them. It's just you've been blessed within this incarnation, maybe, that you got more spiritual maturity to your side. And hopefully this channel, again, this message, whether that's this channel, the main channel, the private Patreon community, the one-on-one coaching, consultations, all that stuff, hopefully that's helping accelerate it even more. But at the end of the day, this is all on you. All the answers are within you. Stop looking externally for these things. Channels like this, videos like this are just reminders. Your soul already knows all these things. It's just the conscious mind is waiting for the trigger to turn on that spiritual sense, that spiritual faculty within you. It could be through psychedelics. It could be through meditation. It could be through a book. It could be through a podcast. It could be through a video. Whatever it is for you, trigger that shit and understand, man. You're here for a bigger purpose, and society is wanting to keep you down, keeping you in a lower state of consciousness, a lower frequency, a lower vibration. And it uses certain tools, it uses certain implements, and it uses certain systems to ensure that. And if we're being totally honest, it's the three lower worlds I talk about so much. Survival, sex, and status. Food, shelter, sex, and of course, status, the ego. Oh man, the ego. I want a bunch of cars, want a bunch of clothes. I'm going to keep chasing external pleasures and external pieces of validation so people accept me. I'm at higher status. Illusion. Total bullshit. Again, I'm not telling you to not go pursue a luxurious life, but if you make that the end goal, thinking that will bring you true pleasure, true fulfillment, true spiritual ecstasy, true soul connection, you're wrong. Sex. You have a drive to want to procreate. That's totally normal. That's totally fine. That's biological. Are you in the position to do that? 9 times out of 10, no. You're not even good enough to be able to essentially provide for yourself. Are you having this urge to want to procreate and actually using it to procreate? Or are you using it to satisfy your sensual cravings? Just like a drug. Are you using morphine to help your injury, like you just had surgery? Or are you using it to get high off your fucking ass and almost OD? Think of sex almost like that. I'm not trying to scare you about sex, but there's a reason for it and there's a reason not to do it. Do you think that's going to bring you true fulfillment, true joy? You've probably already had these experiences, whether that's through pixels on a screen, where you're kind of just going from this thing to this thing to this thing, yet you still feel like shit at the end of the day, or if you've been engaged into the whole hookup culture scene, from this girl to this girl to this girl, and you still feel empty inside. You don't feel true kind of fulfillment. You can use that kind of same drive for procreation to create something bigger and better. I'm not saying creating a child is not bigger and better, but you're not doing that. Let's be honest. You're doing it to kind of just release this kind of buildup of energy. Transcend that energy, elevate that energy, bring it up to your higher faculties, and guess what? You use it to create your dream life, your desired reality. It's the fuel to do that. It'll give you the mental clarity, it'll give you the physical vitality, and it'll give you the spiritual connection to your higher faculties to get it done. And on the last kind of thing, survival. Are you just eating food for survival, for nutrition, for your actual development of the physical vessel? Or are you doing it just to get cheap fixes of dopamine? Chips, candy, soda, etc. Are you just doing it for that? Or are you defiling the temple of God, the body, with bullshit, with trash, with garbage, stuff that makes you literally retarded? Or are you feeding it the fuel it needs to fuel up the other areas of your life, to fuel up your true pursuits, your higher pursuits, your dharmic duty? See? Do you not see how they warp everything towards your demise? These things are not quote unquote bad. Survival, sex, status, they're not bad. But if you make that the end goal, and if they're polluted into another way, where it's more on the degenerate side rather than the regenerate side, it just falls into your demise, your spiritual de-evolution rather than your spiritual evolution. You have to use these types of things, these kind of cards that you've dealt with within this physical body towards your advantage. Spirituality, spiritual practices do that. They understand that the body, again, is a means to realize God, not a means to indulge in their animalistic senses. If you were really meant to come here to it as an animal, you would have. You would have. You've been blessed with this incarnation. Don't waste it. Especially if you're someone that can actually conceptualize all these things I'm talking about. And again, this is not from me. Focus on the message, forget the messenger. Forget who it's coming from. Maybe you pick it up more when I say it, or someone else says it better, and you don't pick it up when I say it. Does not matter. The message at the end of the day. Transcend beyond your lower levels, man. Transcend beyond your lower states of consciousness. Because this is what's going to keep you stuck within the cycle of reincarnation, coming over here over and over and over and over and over again. And just think about that, man. Do you want to do that, or do you want to ascend to the next level in the game? Imagine playing one level of a video game over and over and over and over and over because you keep getting distracted from the real mission. You keep doing side quests instead of the true campaign. God damn, man, that's an analogy right there. Stop doing the side quests, focus on the damn campaign. Beat the game and do the side quests after. Funny enough, if you beat the game, if you go on the real quest, that is the most enjoyable and the most fun. Not the side quest shit. I'm the type of guy, whenever I got any video game, I didn't play multiplayer, I didn't play the side quest. I needed to finish the campaign first. Whether that's COD, whether that's Skyrim, whether that's this, whether that's that. I needed to finish the main mission. Everything else did not matter to that point. It felt like distractions to me. Same thing with this. Same thing with life. All the other distractions are going to pull you into the cycle of to this thing, to that thing, to this thing. And it's all, again, based on carnality and consumerism. But what are you going to do about it? I can give you some of the sauce, some of the info, some of the knowledge, some of the wisdom, some of the gnosis, knowledge that only comes from within. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to piece up the puzzle together for your own life, to fit your own perspective, and to fuel your own purpose. So with all that said, man, it's been your boy out here in the field, in the flesh, dropping y'all that game so you guys can make these gains. I'm out here. Peace.